Good morning, students. Today we are going to discuss about the case which I have posted last day. Hope all of you gone through the cases. Then some students didn't completed their assignment. I hope they will do it today itself. Without going through these cases, you cannot understand what I am going to say today. So it is important to check the case sheet. Then only you can understand the case discussion. So what was the case? A case of a 32 years old woman with the complaining of pain, lower abdomen, with fever and vomiting. The patient had dysmenorrhea and abnormal vaginal discharge. So that was the case. The case was admitted in our hospital in OBG department and it was discharged. The assignment was to write the professional diagnosis, differential diagnosis, analysis and evaluation of the symptom, important rubrics, prescription and general management. Many of you make a professional diagnosis of pelvic inflammatory disease for that case. Fine. The signs and symptoms of the patient mostly indicate that condition, that is pelvic inflammatory disease. By looking or by going through the signs and symptoms of the patient, one can suspect it as a pelvic inflammatory disease. And what are the other important differential diagnosis of this case? First of all, let us have a check about the differential diagnosis. The close running differential diagnosis of this case are a pelvic inflammatory disease, then another close running DD, most confusing DD is endometriosis, and other one is appendicitis, acute appendicitis, then chocolate cyst of ovary, uterine myoma. The three things, that is PID, endometriosis and appendicitis, these three conditions are more confusing and it is very difficult to make a diagnosis in clinical setup. Even a experienced physician cannot diagnose this condition without the help of investigation. So your professional diagnosis, most of you make a professional diagnosis of pelvic inflammatory disease, so it is partially correct. Once again, let us check the important symptoms of the patient. Mainly the patient have three symptoms, isn't it? First one is pain in lower abdomen for 1 month. It started gradually as pain in lower abdomen associated with mild fever, vomiting and headache. So pain in abdomen with fever and vomiting. All these are the signs and symptoms of pelvic inflammatory disease and appendicitis. So we have some confusion whether it is a pelvic inflammatory disease or acute appendicitis. There was severe pain occurred on right lower abdomen. Consult an allopathic doctor and the complaint was relieved temporarily after medication. Then patient again developed severe pain in right lower abdomen 1 week ago with fever, chilliness, vomiting and a headache. She is restless during the time of pain and cannot lie still. That is the symptom of the patient, not the symptom of the disease. It is a peculiar symptom. During the time of pain and fever, she is restless and she cannot lie still. That is a particular symptom. And there are some negative generals. I mentioned some negative generals. There was no history of loose stool. That means we have to rule out the gastrointestinal symptoms. No history of indigestion. No history of dysuria. That is, we have to rule out a UTI. UTI also have pain and vomiting. So there was no history of dysuria and there is no history of altered sensorium. Then next symptom is the painful menstruation. That condition, that complaint for 11 years started after a stillbirth. Menstrual cycle was regular. There is a profuse bleeding of dark clotted blood with severe pain in lower abdomen Pain starts 2 to 3 days before menses and continues till the bleeding stops. So here dysmenorrhea starts 2 to 3 days before menses and continues till the bleeding stops. It is a case of a secondary dysmenorrhea or congestive dysmenorrhea. Congestive dysmenorrhea starts some days before menses and continues during the menstrual period. The patient also have complaint of brownish offensive discharge, vaginal discharge after the menses, and it lasts for the next menstrual period. She also complains of dyspareunia or painful coition. The other symptoms are constipation with the frequent urging, craving for pickles, acids and pungent things, frequent urging for urine. Thermally she is hot, and mentally she is anxious about her disease, irritable, and bite herself by anger. She is during the time of anger she bite herself. And obstetric history, gravida 1, parity 1, no live birth, no abortion, but a stillbirth that counted as a death. Although it was an abortion, it was a stillbirth, so it counted as D1. It occurs 11 years ago. Then tenderness on right iliac region. These are the symptoms of the patient. These symptoms suggest mainly three conditions, that is PID, endometriosis and appendicitis. So let us check what are the differential symptoms or what are the important clinical features of these three conditions. First one is the acute PID. PID may be an acute presentation or a chronic presentation. So the acute PID is confused with appendicitis. And what is the difference between acute PID and appendicitis? Acute PID mostly bilateral. PID means inflammation of upper genital tract. Upper genital tract include uterus, fallopian tube and ovary. So inflammation of a uterus, fallopian tube and ovary is known as PID. Mostly it is bilateral. It affects both fallopian tube and both ovary. And in appendicitis, it affects only one side, or we can the patient complains of pain in right lower abdomen. In acute PID, there will be pain on both sides. And what are the etiology of PID? Mostly sexually transmitted diseases, that is gonorrhea, chlamydia, trichomonas. It is an infection. PID is an infection caused by sexually transmitted organisms, or it may occur as a post-abortal or puerperal sepsis, or it may be caused as a result of IUCD, intrauterine contraceptive devices like Copperty. And high acute PID is characterized by high grade fever. That is one differentiating point between acute PID and appendicitis. In appendicitis there will be low grade fever, and in acute PID there will be dysuria, vaginal discharge, purulent discharge from cervix. That is most important, purulent discharge, because it is an infection. So there will be purulent discharge from cervix. Cervical movement tenderness, tenderness in the fornices. These are the main symptoms of acute PID. So cervical movement tenderness, tenderness in the fornices. And these are the differentiating point between acute PID and in appendicitis. In appendicitis, the tenderness will be in McBurney's point. Then blood picture is of acute bacterial infection, that is total count will be increased with the high neutrophil count. ESR will be also high. And on cervical swab culture, we can identify the causative organism. So that is the investigation to diagnose an acute PID. And the most important diagnosis is the laparoscopy. And laparoscopy also, the important finding or the sure sign is pus extruding from the fimbrial end and peritubal adhesion. These two are the sure sign of PID. So we have seen that there will be a bacterial infection and purulent vaginal discharge, and on laparoscopy pus extruding from the fimbrial end. That is the sure sign of PID. And diagnosis is by other means of diagnosis are USG and MRI. And there are different picture in chronic PID. In chronic PID, there will be a history of previous pelvic infection and patient complaint of constant lower abdominal pain, especially before menstruation. And there will be low backache and deep dyspnea. Vaginal discharge will be there, and menstrual abnormalities like menorrhagia, polymenorrhea are also present. And on examination, retroverted and fixed uterus, that is one of the main character of chronic PAD. On vaginal examination, retroverted and fixed uterus can be found. Then appendages of uterus are adherent to each other. This condition is called frozen pelvis. These are the main symptoms of chronic PAD. In acute appendicitis, there will be pain in right lower abdomen, only in right lower abdomen, and tenderness in McBurney's point. And there will be rebound tenderness also. Fever is a low grade fever, and there will be severe vomiting. And the other condition, the third important condition, is the endometriosis. What is endometriosis? That is the presence of functional endometrium in sites other than uterine mucosa. That is called endometriosis. So endometrium, the endometrium is the inner covering of uterus. Uterus has 3 coverings, and the inner covering is called endometrium. Endometrium is the unique feature of uterus. Then if this endometrium presents outside the uterus, that condition is called endometriosis. That is presence of functional endometrium in sites other than uterine mucosa. It is a benign proliferative growth. You please note the sentence benign proliferative growth. Non-cancerous, but non-cancerous. When endometrial tissue found in myometrium of the uterus, that condition is called adenomyosis or endometriosis interna. That is a separate condition. So again, endometriosis is a proliferative hormone dependent disease of childbearing woman. So it is seen only in childbearing woman. It is a proliferative hormone dependent disease. Extremely rare before menarche and disappears after menopause. So it is a condition of childbearing woman, and it is a benign proliferative growth. Endometrium of ovary, endometriosis of ovary is known as chocolate cyst of ovary. Chocolate cyst of ovary. So when encysted, the cyst enlarges with cyclic bleeding. The serum gets absorbed in between the period, and the content inside becomes chocolate colored. Therefore, it is known as chocolate cyst. Chocolate cyst is nothing but ovarian endometriosis. Then what are the other sites of endometriosis? So endometrium normally seen inside the uterus. If it present outside the uterus anywhere, that is called endometriosis. Then what are the signs? What are these abnormal sites of endometriosis? Endometrium may be seen in pelvis, that is called pelvic endometriosis. When it is seen, sometimes it is seen on a peritoneum, pouch of Douglas, or uterosacral ligament. Then we have seen that ovarian endometriosis, that is the commonest form of endometriosis. Endometrium seen in ovary, that is called chocolate cyst of ovary. Sometimes this endometrium may seen in appendix, pelvic lymph node, umbilicus, or even in scar tissues. These are the sites of endometriosis, or the abnormal finding of endometrium. And regarding clinical features, we have seen that the clinical symptoms are more similar to the symptoms of PID. So it is very difficult to differentiate between endometriosis and PID. Then we have seen that it is a disease of childbearing woman. Usually the age is between 30 and 45. Mostly nulliparous woman, or a woman have 1 or 2 children. Another feature of endometriosis patient is infertility. Sometimes the patient voluntarily postpone the first conception. There will be family history of endometriosis. These are the common presentation of a patient profile. Then 25% are asymptomatic. So 25 patient does not show any symptoms in case of endometriosis. And the main important symptom is dysmenorrhea. That too, progressive increasing secondary dysmenorrhea. You please note this sentence again. Progressive increasing secondary dysmenorrhea. So it is a secondary dysmenorrhea and it progressively increasing. That is the salient feature of dysmenorrhea of endometriosis. Pain starts few days prior to menstruation. There is again a feature of secondary dysmenorrhea. Pain starts few days before menstruation, worsen during menstruation, and may persist even after menstruation. Site of pain is deep seated and on the back or rectum, but the pain is not related to the extent of lesion. So the severity of pain and the extent of lesion has no relation. So a severe pain does not indicate that the patient had a widespread lesion. Apart from dysmenorrhea, other symptoms are abnormal uterine bleeding, infertility, dyspareunia, again painful question, that too deep dyspareunia, chronic pelvic pain or abdominal pain, frequency of urination, dysuria, painful defecation, constipation, sometimes symptoms with IBS, chronic fatigue symptoms. All these are the other symptoms of endometriosis. Examination findings are also important. On abdominal examination, there will be cystic swelling which stimulate an ovarian tumor which is fixed and slightly tender. So sometimes we suspect it as an ovarian tumor, cystic swelling which is fixed and slightly tender. And on speculum examination, there will be bluish or blackish puckered spots in posterior vernix and it is tender to touch. This is the pathognomonic of endometriosis. It is very, very important. You please note this symptom. What is the pathognomonic symptom of endometriosis? Bluish or blackish puckered spots in posterior vernix on speculum examination. While doing the speculum examination, we can see a spot, blackish or bluish puckered spot on posterior vernix. And by bimanual examination, nodularity in the pouch of Douglas, nodular feeling of the uterosacral ligament, that is called a cobblestone feel of uterosacral ligament. And there will be fixed retroverted uterus, unilateral or bilateral adnexal mass. In case of chocolate cyst, we can feel a unilateral or bilateral adnexal mass. Although many patients have no findings. So these are the important findings on clinical examination. And what are the investigation? Investigations are also very important. Transvaginal scan, abdominal USG does not give any clue about endometriosis. We cannot diagnose a case of endometriosis by abdominal USG. Then transvaginal USG is helpful only in case of ovarian endometriosis. Ovarian endometriosis can be diagnosed by transvaginal ultrasonograph. MRI is the best diagnostic tool. So if we suspect it a case of endometriosis, better to do MRI. That is the best diagnostic tool. And the gold standard of diagnosis of endometriosis is laparoscopy. This is a frequent questions asked in MD entrance examination. What is the gold standard of investigation in endometriosis? It is laparoscopy. Gold standard investigation means the method of investigation following throughout the world, all over the world. Laparoscopy is considered as the gold standard of investigation in case of endometriosis. And what are the importance of laparoscopy examination in case of endometriosis? We can assess the lesion with site, size and extent. And we can take the biopsy. We can do the biopsy also while doing the laparoscopy. Staging can be done. And opportunity to offer laparoscopic surgery if needed. During the time of laparoscopy, if surgery is needed, it can be done. These are the importance of laparoscopy, and laparoscopy is considered as the gold standard of investigation of endometriosis, while MRI is the best diagnostic tool. In our patient show the signs and symptoms of all these conditions. You noticed it as some signs and symptoms of appendicitis, some signs and symptoms of PAD, and some signs and symptoms of endometriosis. So you can professionally diagnose it as a acute appendicitis, it is right, or you can professionally diagnose it as a pelvic inflammatory disease, that is also right, or you can professionally diagnose it as a endometriosis. All these professional diagnoses are correct. And after doing the USG of the patient had done, it indicates that the patient had a appendicitis, acute appendicitis. So it is a case of acute appendicitis with endometriosis. That is why we are confusing in the symptom. Most of the case we cannot get a typical presentation of a disease. Sometimes a patient present a typical presentation, or sometimes patient have one or two conditions together. So patient's symptoms may confusing or mixed up while the patient suffer from more than one diseases. So in our patient, the patient suffer from acute appendicitis, also suffer from endometriosis. That is why the patient show the signs and symptoms of both appendicitis and endometriosis. The patient's acute symptomatology indicate the patient suffer from acute appendicitis, and from the clinical history of the patient, we can see that the patient also has signs and symptoms of endometriosis. So we have to prescribe, or we have to manage both these conditions. You need not mention both the condition in your examination. You should mention only one condition, and you should mention only the you should prescribe only for one condition, and you should manage only one condition. No need to mention all the diagnosis and all the management. So from examination point of view, you no need to explain all these things. But what we did in our patient is, we diagnosed it as an acute appendicitis with endometriosis. So initially we managed the case with medicines of appendicitis. And you know what are the important medicines for acute appendicitis? There are many very effective medicines indicated for acute appendicitis. Some of them are belladonna, bryonia, Rostox, Iris Tenax, and Pyrogen. Iris Tenax is the most specific medicine in case of acute appendicitis. Belladonna, bryonia, and Rostox are the commonly prescribed medicine. And what we prescribed in our patient, the acute totality of our patient is pain in right lower abdomen, pain with restlessness, patient cannot lie still in a position, chilliness, pain with chilliness, and the condition is appendicitis. This acute totality indicate Rostox. So the medicine given in the first few days is Rostox 1 that too in water dose, repeated dose. The patient got relieved of the signs and symptoms of acute appendicitis, and the patient was discharged. So if your professional diagnosis is appendicitis, you should mention the medicines of appendicitis with the signs and symptoms of disease and signs and symptoms of the patient. And the other condition we have to manage in this case is endometriosis. What are the common medicines for endometriosis? The commonly prescribed medicines are Pulsatilla, Sepia, Platina, Thuja, Medorinum, Sabina, Cicalcor, etc. etc. Then what is the medicine in our case? I checked the rubrics selected by some of you, and the main rubrics selected by yourself are rubrics from Ken Repertory: mind anxious about her disease, stomach desire pungent things, stomach desire acids, stomach desire warm drinks, rectum urging frequent, abdomen pain menses before, female genitalia pain question during, female genitalia menses copious, female genitalia infertility, female genitalia leucorrhea brown, bladder urging frequent, rectum constipation hard stool, etc. So these are some of the rubrics selected by yourselves. All these rubrics are correct rubrics. All of you did it well. At the same time, you missed some important rubric. So I consider the following rubrics cover the totality of the patient. Let us look my rubrics, selection of my. According to Kantian philosophy, we have to select rubrics from mental general, physical general, and the particular symptom or the condition of the patient. Here the condition itself belongs to female genitalia, and the symptoms of female genitalia again or female sex organs can be considered as general symptoms. So we can give importance to mental symptom, physical general symptoms, and female sexual symptoms. What are the important symptoms we can take in this case? Mind biting. I took only that symptom, mind biting. Mind anchor is a broad rubric, but here the peculiarity of the patient is she bites herself during anger. So I consider it as a peculiar symptom or peculiar rubric. Selection of peculiar rubric is important, which help us to make a correct prescription. General restlessness. We have seen that the patient is very restless during the time of diseases. And another condition, what I noted very important is the abortion history. Some of the main complaints of the patient started after that abortion. So we can correlate the signs and symptoms with that abortion. So we should consider that symptom. That is an important etiology in this case. So the rubric is general abortion history of. That is an important rubric in this case. And that too, in that case, we have noticed that it was undiagnosed for some days, and it was a stillbirth, and there will be brownish offensive discharge from vagina after that abortion. So I consider it as a gangrenous condition. So the rubric general inflammation gangrenous, that is the pathology or essence of this condition. So it is also a good rubric in this case, inflammation gangrenous. And desires acids. Patient desires pungent things or other pickles also, but desire acids is considered as a important rubric. And female genitalia leucorrhea brown, that is also very important in this case, leucorrhea brown. And menses clotted dark clots, that is the rubric. So these are the important mental and physical symptoms of this patient, and the medicine which cover all these symptoms are Cical-Core. And while checking the materia medica of Cical-Core, we can see the symptoms of Cical-Core in boric materia medica and keynote are: there is strong tendency to putrescence, brownish offensive leucorrhea, painful menstruation, copious oozing of watery blood until next period. It is there in boric materia medica, copious oozing of bloody discharge until next period. Here in our patient also this symptoms is present. Abortion, history of abortion, hot patient, our patient is hot, craving acids with unnatural ravenous appetite is a peculiar symptom of Cical-Core. Then gangrene, other symptom, restlessness, extreme debility, aggravation after abortion, violent anger, inclination to bite or drown herself. It is there in materia medica, violent anger, inclination to bite or drown herself. So while checking the important rubrics in repertory, and while going through the materia medica, we can see that Cical-Core cover most of the symptoms of this patient. So Cical-Core may be the indicator remedy in case of endometriosis. If we consider endometriosis